This is Judith Marians in Los Angeles, California, USA.
And Andrea Kleibel-Kurtzman in Vienna, Austria.
And welcome to Brava, your podcast guide for women in the creative industries.
Today, Judith and I would like to talk about opportunity and how to best take advantage of it.
Before we discuss this of how to jump into an opportunity, let's talk about the general factors to consider before taking on anything new.
Sometimes people are dazzled by the lure of a new direction, but they have to determine if what they currently have is better or more advantageous than what is offered.
That's very true. So you have to think to yourself, how would I evaluate the pluses and minuses in buying a new car or a new house or moving to another location? In good part, a career opportunity is a business and financial decision, as well as a simple career choice.
Sure. So if we zoom in on the meaning of opportunity in a job setting or career move, what are some of the questions to ask yourself from the get-go?
What do you know about the people and the supervisor you'd be working for, or the company you'd be working for, the enterprise you'd be involved in? And will you be a good fit? Be honest with yourself. And will you be treated well? See if you can talk to people who've been involved in that particular milieu and find out. What do you know about the financial strength or other considerations for the stability of a new enterprise? Is it there for the long run? What financial and career advancements are available to you in your current placement? Can that be matched or bettered in a possible next venture? After all, where you are now, you're known and you're valued because you continue to keep the position. Can you do the same thing in a new enterprise? Do you currently have a mentor who can propel your career in ways a new supervisor can't? Do I like the enterprise or venture of this new prospect? And would I be happy and feel proud to be involved in it? So you have to do some research and even go through an interview if you're offered one, so you can ask some coaching questions and get a feel for the work culture.
Okay, and after answering those questions to yourself, there are other key considerations when faced with a career opportunity. What are they?
In my experience, there are 3 different types of opportunities, and each needs to be approached differently. First, there's the opportunity that's offered to just you alone. That can be very flattering. You have been the chosen one. It can simply be serendipity that you were chosen, you happen to be there, or result from working in a current situation where you became valuable to a superior who wants to keep and elevate you.
So what's the best way to take advantage of such an offer?
I was given such an offer, and it was from a person who borrowed me from another department where I had been working to work with him on a complex project. I wanted to learn the part of the business he was dealing with, so I tailored my work for him to strengthen his weakness, all without pointing out where he didn't excel. Everything went well and faster and more smoothly than it had been before I arrived, and because of that, he couldn't live without me. I knew that, so when the offer came in to join his team, I accepted, but I also asked for a big raise and some other perks, all of which I got because now he needed me.
So you took advantage of his wanting you and you alone.
Of course, but I gave him value for money. He got something he never had before, strength where he had been weak, and it made him more successful.
What about opportunities like job listings that are open to one and all qualified parties? Those are approached in another way, need careful thought and preparation. What do you think?
If you're one of many applicants, then you have to distinguish yourself in a way that makes you stand out from the crowd and offers qualities few have and are needed. Think, what do I have that few or none have? It might be that you are multilingual, you come highly recommended by a known and respected party, you have cutting-edge knowledge, or you have superior skills or experience in the field, or you've traveled the world and can relate to anyone. Do your research. Read the job posting carefully for revealing words and descriptions.
Obviously, you have to carefully consider what value you bring to the table and not curate yourself perfectly in a glass vitrine, but rather consider what the other side needs and what it is that you have to offer and what sets you apart. Of all the things you can do to distinguish yourself, which do you think are the most important?
Well, if the position calls for specific high-level skills, then that will likely win the day. Otherwise, a recommendation from a highly placed person and a most respected person is, to me, the most persuasive. When someone is looking for a new hire, they are taking a chance. They hope to make a good choice, but might get stuck with the wrong person. If someone else with esteem and judgment thinks a particular candidate is a great choice, then a prospective employer lowers the risk of making the wrong selection. They have a pre-approved and pre-tested candidate according to an outside and respected expert. When I think back, every job I ever had in Hollywood involved either an introduction, a recommendation, or a follow-up call to the hiring party from someone of importance. To me, that is gold. This is one of many reasons why it's important to keep your relationships pristine with one and all.
Yes, I agree. Good relationships are probably the key asset to maintain, as long as you can stay true to yourself along the way, of course. Now, you and I have often talked about the third kind of opportunity, and that's the one we have created for ourselves. Should we get into that a bit?
Yes, this is really essential. If you're clever, you can spot where there's a need to create something new or better, or that needs improvement or a more expeditious approach. This is an opportunity waiting to happen. If you can deliver the newer and better, then you not only improve your work situation, but you demonstrate that you are a problem solver, a creative thinker, perhaps even one of a kind. You have something of value that is beyond the expected skills for your job. That can make you invaluable, which then makes you irreplaceable and highly rewarded.
Can you give an example of this?
Sure. An arduous situation came in the early days of computers. I worked at a television network. The legal department was charged with drafting all the contracts for all the productions. There were no form contracts where you more or less fill in the blanks. Every single contract by every single lawyer had to be drafted from scratch, which was incredibly time-consuming. One day, the legal department got one computer for all of us. I and another colleague went through the file room, pulled terms and conditions from old contracts, fed them into this computer, and came up with forms that were accessed on the computer for all types of contracts. This cut the work time by hundreds of hours, as well as the risk of making mistakes or leaving something out. That was a big job, and we got a lot of gratification out of that. Of course, in the future, we learned to ask for money for it, which we didn't in those days.
That sounds incredible compared to today's work realities. But I also have a cherished young colleague. When I started working with her, she was straight out of school and she had the gift of spotting imperfections in systems. And every time we went into a new job together, she made work more effortless for everyone and became very successful because of her own initiative in that area. But back to you, do you have any shorter and simpler examples?
Yes, there are simple innovations that can make everything work more smoothly. I was asked to prepare 2 top executives at a production company for a big meeting in Europe with their counterparts on a multi-part transaction. They wanted a memo of what line items in the transaction still needed to be addressed and resolved. I had been overseeing the negotiation, so I had an update on what was still open. Rather than a written memo, I prepared a chart, a column for each line item. Next, a column set out our position, and the next column, their position, and a last column for cross-reference to the contract and correspondence that related to this particular item. That way, the executives could read across the chart quickly, and if needed, they could look up the backup information that was referenced. And all of this was contained in a 3-ring binder. Today, it would probably be on a computer. They walked into the meeting ready to do business and do it fast. That innovation upped my status a lot. I was called into more and more complicated transactions because I was the go-to person that made the complex easier to deal with.
So the takeaway is opportunity can be offered or can be created and should be evaluated for whether or not it can move your career in the direction you want to go under circumstances that benefit you. Thank you for listening to Brava. If you'd like to follow us, please go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or